Clerk, please read the roll.
Addo. Here. Avedisian.
All right.
Buell. Here. Caban.
Here.
Camilleri.
Here.
Charone. Curry. Here. Bella.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Callaghan. Gardeau.
Here.
Hall. Healy. Hoffman.
Here.
Holloway. Iono.
Giano here.
I'm sorry, how?
Giano.
Yano. I
Yano.
apologize. Walshin. LeBeau. Lester.
Here.
Magnan.
Here.
Murata.
Here.
Osgood. Payne. Patel.
Here.
Salemi. Salmonides.
Here.
Sweezy.
Here.
Taylor. Here. Torres. Vecino. Carrier. We have a quorum.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Item 4, public comment relative to agenda items.
Judy Allen, West Hartford. First, I'd like to express my support for the continuation of the Operation Fuel project for the district. From what I've heard, it's been a great success helping customers who are struggling. And I, for one, will be happy to donate an extra $1 on my bill each month. I'd like an opportunity to comment about budget issues prior to your referral to the board, just so my comments could be part of any decision that you make.
3 minutes.
Pardon me?
3 minutes.
The way the MDC finances this utility is unsustainable. Relying on water rates, borrowing money, and an antiquated 1929 ad valorem system is unsustainable. Creating economic development rates to try and sell more water is not the answer. Incentivizing Niagara to buy more water is not the answer. Imagine a water utility telling its customers to water their lawns more, take longer showers, don't fix that leaky faucet, run the dishwasher when it's only half full, just to raise money. People would be up in arms about the wastefulness. A traditional economic development rate is designed to attract new industry, provide a discount that decreases over time until the industry is paying full freight. It's the same concept as giving a new industry a tax break for the first few years. It's not designed to give a discount forever or to start giving them to an existing industry. Too often, responses to these kinds of suggestions is that the charter doesn't allow us to do it. The charter can be changed. You have done it all along for things you felt were important. The way the MDC finances this utility is extremely important to your customers and should be to you as well. Your current structure is unsustainable. There are models out there that could bring the MDC into the 21st century and could be tailored to meet the MDC's special needs. I understand how to say this. The budget timeline says that there's going to be a public hearing on the 19th on the budget and the rates, I think it says. Does the Water Bureau have to vote on the proposed water rates? And if so, when will they do that? And will the ordinance creating the water rates be included in the notice for the public hearing on the 19th? Similarly, does the Bureau of Public Works have to vote on the ordinance to create an economic development rate? And if so, when will that be? Thank you.
If you look on the website, you will be able to find it. It's up on the website today.
The notice is up there?
Hello, I'm Tolly Miller from Bloomfield. I also wanted to thank the MDC and also our consumer advocate, David Silverstone, for your work in the Operation Fuel program. I'm really pleased that you are in support of serving struggling households of Operation Fuel. The fuel program is a great one I've supported for many years. I'm really pleased that you're supporting the water, and I hope it will expand in years to come. I also wanted to just express my concern about the proposed economic development rate, which is clearly meant to help just one customer, Niagara, and one industry, water bottlers. The new threshold of $600,000 is expressly designed to entice them to buy more water. The deal on the special sewer service charge is also unequal. Only water bottlers discharge as little as 10% of the water they use. An industry discharging only 50% would get a discount, but nothing like a water bottler. This economic development rate is like waving a welcome sign for more water bottlers to move into the MDC member towns. It's a giveaway that never ends. This is not the kind of development that I want to see in my town. I don't want to bring in industry that pollutes the environment, and I don't want to have such an unequal rate structure as well. So I hope that you'll consider that as you move forward. Thank you.
Further comments?
I'd also like to speak in favor of the Operation Fuel expansion into helping people with the water bills. Additionally, I'm very concerned about any plans for economic development that include more water bottling. I think it's an idea that lacks creativity and really doesn't do anything for the state. It just takes away from the state. So I hope that you understand that, that many people feel this way, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Oh, sorry. Patricia O'Connor, West
Thank-
Hartford.
Thank you.
Further comment? Okay, item 5, approval of minutes of the meeting of October 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any deletions or omissions? Not. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6, report from the district chairman. We're going to have an executive session after the chief executive officer's report. So I'll deal with it in that process. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to make my report as quick as I can tonight, I would like to thank Commissioners Avedisian, Buell, Gardeau, LeBeau, and Patel for touring the wastewater treatment plant this past month. From all reports, I got a lot of excellent feedback from commissioners, only to say that they're very impressed not only with our construction project, but our staffing as well. So thank you for that compliment. We appreciate that. I'm going to skip over on the Hartford East Hartford Dike Control System for the end of my report. Business transformation, as you know, we've been working diligently with our contractor to finalize a new statement of work for the upgrade to the SAP system that we started back in 2016. We are coming to a close of finalizing that statement of work. We will be bringing back, we reported to the audit committee about 5 months ago, Kelly, was it roughly? And we're going to bring back, before we move forward with any statement of work, we're going to bring that back to the audit committee to make sure everybody's comfortable with how we're proceeding. We have met with workshops with our member towns regarding the 2019 budget, and we have the majority of the feedback has been positive. There's been a couple of comments that we've received and really relates to the MDC, requesting MDC not to fill positions. So I just want to make this clear, is that in 2018 we had 489 positions approved by the board. We only actually had people in those positions 472. So You've got about 17 vacancies, and if you look at the years in advance, 28 in 2017, 41 in 2016, you always have a variance in actual, the board might approve positions, but you don't actually get them all filled within that given year. So the question that towns have had, could you please not fill those jobs? And the point is, we have a number of important vacancies in finance we need to fill, and we're only one above 2018 to a total of 490. And there will be vacancies throughout the year that are not filled, and therefore there will be a savings that we're seeing and realizing. The Board of Finance meeting, we had a great discussion from our auditors and from Cohn-Resnick, and Cohn-Resnick did present to us draft procedures and policies for general accounting and monthly closing. We will bring that back to the Board of Finance in detail and have a chance to really discuss that in detail, but we are working through that with Cohn-Resnick and our finance staff. Also, in addition to that, we have a draft whistleblower policy that was recommended by Bloom Shapiro in their audit, and we have a draft, and again, we will present that to the Board of Finance at our next meeting. In terms of, I've talked a lot about our agreement with the Colebrook Reservoir and whether or not the MDC should proceed beyond 2019 with the agreement with the Army Corps of the maintenance costs and the operation of Colebrook Reservoir system. It is an emergency drinking water source, but as I said in the past, during the drought of 2016, there was no water behind the dam. So the reality is, in a drought, given the fact we have to release water from the system as part of our minimum stream flow, there's no water when we need it in an emergency. We are going to finalize a part of the discussion we have to have with the Water Bureau and the board is, what is the life cycle, what is the useful life of the hydro units within the Colebrook Dam? And we are finalizing that. We will bring that to the Water Bureau. The initial look on that report is it's about a $3 million investment, and the payback is really not that great. So that kind of goes in line with the discussion about, all right, if we're not going to be, if the life cycle cost analysis for hydro is not beneficial to the MDC, if there is no water behind the dam during a drought, then what and why should we continue that agreement beyond 2019? We have a situation right now, we pay 33% of the costs, maintenance costs associated with the dam. And right now there's a sluice gate that is in disrepair. The Army Corps needs to fix it. It's just an example of, there's 3 sluice gates that allow water to go through the dam. 2 of the sluice gates are used for our hydro. The other sluice gate is used for them to regulate the flow in anticipation of major rainstorms. The sluice gate that they're preparing to use for releasing water in anticipation of storms isn't working. So it's just, it's a system that's very old, it's going to need improvement, and the question is, what is our engagement in that into the future? And this past year, it was $680,000 that we paid in our maintenance shared cost, and that's going to continue to grow over the years. In terms of human resources, as you know, we presented at PPNI and at the board. We have engaged an outside consultant firm, Workers' Comp Trust, and they are managing all of our worker comp cases. We have a report for them. We're going to give a full report to PPNI, Chairman. But for 2017 to 2018, we've saved more than $700,000 in mitigated costs associated with closing claims quickly and addressing them in a timely manner. So that program is working extremely well. We're going to expand their responsibilities to also manage our FMLA, which is Family Medical Leave Act, and that's a very intensive program that has to be managed on a daily basis, and we're going to utilize Worker Comp Trust to do that for us. So we're going to present that to PPNI as well. In terms of the long, yeah.
What was the cost of that versus the 700,000 we saved?
What was
What did we pay the consultant?
$65,000.
Thank you.
It's been a huge benefit and taken a huge workload off of the MDC HR staff. In terms of the integrated plan, we have been meeting with a number of our towns, and our next meeting is going to be in Bloomfield next Tuesday night. So we are trying to educate our towns to understand the benefits of integrated planning. And we've had a number of concerns, and since I'm an engineer, I can take this criticism that a lot of times we're trying to explain a very technical program, and it's very difficult to, in a sense, dummy down a technical program so it's understandable. We've had a lot of legitimate concerns and questions from commissioners, from town managers, to say it's really complicated and really tough for us to understand it and then understand exactly what you're looking for us to do. So we have recommended, and we actually executed a technical session with the town engineering staff and finance staff this past Friday, and we spent almost 5 hours explaining the program to the technical staff of each town, with the hope and anticipation that the town staff can then go back and explain and educate in their understanding of what's the benefit for each town to their town council, to their town managers. So I've heard a lot of great feedback from the town managers on that, and we have again modified the program and the presentation so that it's easily understandable to the town councils, and we'll do everything we can to make them understand as best we can. In terms of, I'm sorry, there's one important thing I have here. We are, precipitation, as everyone knows, has been raining nonstop for almost a month and a half. But we are 12, almost 13 inches above normal in our cumulative precipitation for the year. So that's a really high number, and it's been challenging to say the least, as you all can imagine, with some of the surcharging that we have seen in West Hartford, Lynbrook Street. As most of you know, we had a major sewer collapse of a new liner in West Hartford on Lynbrook. That sewer collapse was due to a liner failure. We have yet and do not know why it failed. We don't know if it's a manufacturing defect or if it was an installation defect, but the simple fact is it failed. It surcharged 26 homes. We have been working diligently with the town. We actually had a meeting with the town in West Hartford and to explain what happened and what we're doing about it. All 4 of the West Hartford commissioners were there. And we spent a lot of time to explain to the customers, very, very important, we are not going to send our customers to the wolves. We are going to step up. We're going to do what's right. We're going to back charge the customer. The contractor. Will work diligently with the contractor and their insurance company and make sure the MDC gets reimbursed. But in that presentation, I made it very clear that this surcharge was due to a collapse of a pipe, new or old. But there's been surcharging in this area for years. And so the challenge we had, and I took the opportunity in that meeting to explain what integrated planning means. And we're bringing a tunnel to West Hartford to pick up 3 specific overflow points within West Hartford and Newington. But that tunnel is not going to solve the Lynbrook area problem. It's not going to solve 4 Mile. It's a capacity issue. With 13 inches of rain above normal, as we mentioned in the presentation, on a dry day, we get 8 million gallons of raw sewage from West Hartford. On a rainy day, we get 69. And I'm not picking on West Hartford $69 million. I'm not putting it on West Hartford. This happens in all of our towns. But the point is that in a sense, is an act of God. The system is not designed for rain. It's designed for sewer. So the benefit of the integrated plan is to allow us to improve the infrastructure, the existing infrastructure, and get the rain out and work with the towns so that we can partner with the towns to build storm systems that either presently don't exist or only presently provide drainage on the street, but it doesn't provide the homeowner with an opportunity to discharge groundwater from their basement and from their private property into a drainage system. The only opportunity they have is to put it into the sewer pipe, and that's why we have 69 million gallons of combination sewage and rainwater on a rainy day. So this is going to continue to happen. The importance of the integrated plan is to solve that problem. It's a 40-year solution, not a 10-year solution. But the tunnel that's being built to West Hartford, as an example, or the tunnel that would be built to the north part of the city, will not solve those local problems. It's only to pick up very specific overflows at very specific locations that are permitted by DEP or EPA. So the two of the homes on November 3rd were re-hit by the storms that we had over the last couple of days. And again, not because of a failure, not because of pipe failure, but simply because the pipe isn't large enough to handle all of the rainwater getting into the pipe. So the challenge that we have is, unfortunately, when a home gets surcharged and there's no failure of the pipe, we consider that an act of God, and the MDC does not reimburse for anything. And so this is something that will continue to grow. It's a major problem for our customers. We have to find a solution. The solution is integrated planning rather than building large capacity tunnels to pick up small components of the overflow. And we're hoping that in these presentations to our towns that they will understand the benefit of an integrated plan, and we'll be looking for our towns when we have our public hearing on December 11th. Is that correct, Sue? December 11th. We will be hoping for our town councils to join with the MDC and write support through a resolution of some sort to support the MDC's efforts to change from building large capacity tunnels to basically replacing and improving the existing infrastructure to solve the same problem over a longer period of time. The East Hampton, town of East Hampton, as I mentioned before, we have met with DPH, we have met with the two towns. The two towns are getting together and they're going to be making a proposal on how they would see this work between the MDC supplying water to Portland and then in turn supplying water to East Hampton. So they're going to be presenting a proposal to DPH within the next couple of weeks. I've already mentioned Lynbrook. And groundwater bill from DEEP. We have had a technical staff meeting. There is a scheduled meeting. You have a scheduled meeting November 15th with the leadership of DEEP and OPM. And we have billed Pratt & Whitney. Pratt & Whitney, Chris, is 1.6? Just under $1.8 million. So Pratt & Whitney will be paying for their discharge for the 2018, $1.6 million, and they'll continue. We have budgeted about 3 to 4 months of that, $600,000 a month, because they've suggested that they might consider removing that stormwater from our system to avoid the payment. We're working with them to try and find a solution for that, but we are expecting to receive that money in 2018, right? Okay. And then East Point Development, which is Great Ponds. We talked about Great Ponds. There's been a number of discussions over the years in developing that site. The latest proposal, which is to build a little under 250 units, residential units. We did sign an executed agreement on October 17th, and I think we received 300, John, 300 and some odd $1,000 for that DPA, for the connection. Let's see. And I would say, Mr. Chairman, that there's a lot more, but that's the majority of the important things for my report.
Are there questions? Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I thank you, Scott, for that report. I just had a couple of comments based on Board of Finance meetings, also with the towns. I know you mentioned the town's suggestion that we not hire or not fill positions, and that wasn't something that was in detail talked about at the workshop session. I don't know if they've talked to you since then or something, and but you know, we did suggest that might be somewhat myopic, you know, on this year's budget. I mean, these are positions that have gone unfilled now for almost 2 years, certainly beyond a year in a lot of them, and it doesn't really solve the problem. The real problem is the revenues that the MDC is not receiving, not the size of the staff. One other point on Colebrook. So, on Colebrook, we're moving forward with them to discuss the fact that it was originally established. Our participation in Colebrook was originally established because we could use this water from Colebrook and Goodwin as a emergency drinking water supply, but there's no way to get that into our drinking water supply. So,
Right.
And there still isn't a way, although there was a planned way, but there is no way to get in there. So we're still spending this kind of money, but there's really no benefit to derive. The MDC doesn't really derive a benefit in the sense that there's any drinking water there available for us. So.
Right.
I would suggest that you continue to work on that, because it's a significant expense without any benefit to the district, and no source of revenue to pay for it at the point that we're doing it. So, and I would say that the integrated plan, the meeting that we had with the staffs, we had a meeting with the staffs last Friday, and I think that went a long way to explaining some of the details that Scott's talking about that are difficult to explain in front of a town council, because it does involve in some cases, you know, engineering and an understanding of engineering, and so it's good, I think, that we got to the staffs of the various towns, that they can help explain this to their councils and finance directors going down the road. So I appreciate the work that went into your report, Scott, and look forward to our last budget workshop this Friday so we can discuss. So, thank you.
Further questions?
So I do have my last item, which I'd like to start, and then we can decide if you want to go into, I'm sorry. So I did it, yeah, so I did attend, I apologize, I'm never done, right? So I did attend my NACWA meeting. As you know, MDC represents Region 1 for the NACWA Association. So we had our meeting in Chicago last week. And as part of the discussion, we were made aware, and as most of you might know, the President did sign a number of WRDA bills that could benefit the MDC and utilities like us. They did reauthorize two $50 million WRDA funds with WIFIA funding programs to go along with them. The challenge that we have in benefiting from those programs is it's same as last year, which is there's a $250,000 application fee to the EPA, and they only will fund 49% of the project. So what happens is the administrative component of these loan programs are extremely complex and complicated in terms of payments and receiving back monies. So with only funding 49% of the project, you have to go out and get another loan from another, whether it's from the bond market or whether it's from the state. So you got these two competing rules and regulations on how to manage administratively the funding for a project. So it just doesn't work for the MDC. And then in addition to that, there is the benefits that they're proposing is we've been talking about affordability for a long time about how do we justify to the regulators that the MDC and its 8-member towns just can't afford the Clean Water Project anymore. We need to utilize an integrated plan so that we can stretch this over a 40-year period rather trying to build tunnels in a short period of time. So there is legislation that's being proposed that will include a couple of things. Very important for the MDC, that the affordability and integrated planning will now, proposed legislation will also consider the cost of drinking water projects as well as just wastewater and stormwater programs. In addition to that, they're looking at how to calculate, we always talk about that 2% median household income, and unfortunately Hartford's already there, but West Hartford is not even close. And so our problem is we've got 8 towns with very disparaging income levels, and we want and should take into consideration our poorest community and the fact that they just can't afford this. They look at the average. So they're looking at redesigning how they actually calculate the average, and we're proposing a legislation that in some way, somehow, regional bodies like the MDC are able to take into consideration the disparity between Hartford at $28,000 a year versus West Hartford at $110,000. So that's very important news. In addition, in your packet, you have an article, and again, this is all part of the Word of Billing, and it's on page, Nikki, I'm sorry, it's not a page, but it's probably within the first half of your packet, and it says Hartford region moving closer to levee system repairs. So, as part of the Word of Billing authorization through the President, they did in fact reauthorize the study which we have been working on to get support from the Army Corps in Congress, and Congressman Larson's been adamant in supporting this project, so that we can get about $3.5 million in funding from the Army Corps, so that the study can be done on both sides of the river, about $77 million worth of work that needs to be repaired. Of the $77 million, we have 2 water main projects that would be part of that replacement of the water mains that go across the river on the northern part of the city, up by the landfill, and on the southern part of the city by the old WPF CRA trash plant. So we benefit from this grant. The challenge is, it's a catch-22, is that we cannot get the construction money from the Army Corps unless the project gets on what we refer to as the chief's report. But you can't get on the chief report until the study's done. So the challenge we have is, in 2018, we had the authorization. The President just reauthorized the project. But in 2018, they submitted the funding allocation, and it wasn't included in the budget. They did that again in 19. For 19, it has yet to be included. We're going to be working diligently to see if we can get that on in the budget. But the next discussion is, I think you wanted to refer to.
Yeah. You're doing your report, Bill?
No, I'm not. I'm going to talk about, we're going to go into executive session.
Yeah, my understanding is the next item is, first of all, it's not an item that's up for any kind of action by the board, but it does involve real estate transfers in certain areas of Hartford, as well as transfer of assets. So for that reason, if you so choose, you can go into executive session.
Is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Fiscal year 2019 budget estimates referral to the Board of Finance. Is there a motion? So moved. Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item 10, Board of Finance, consideration of a potential action regarding 8, capital project closeouts. Can we take these together? or do we have?
B, C, and D are all the same type of motion, so those could be easily consolidated. And the other ones.
Okay.
we might want to-
Mr. Chairman, all these issues passed the Board of Finance earlier unanimously, so.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved on item A. Is there discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
So move B, C, and D.
It's been approved, B, C, and D. Is there a motion for B, C, and D? There is.
So moved.
Second.
Second, discussion. If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Item number E, 2019 Customer Assistance Program with Operation Fuel. Recommended action, receive the report and adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item F, approval of small business energy advantage loan agreements. Recommended action, receive the report and adopt the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 11, consideration and potential action regarding settlement of pending litigation, Willis versus MDC. Is this a public? This is public?
Say it anyways.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the, there's a motion to adopt discussion? Just a brief explanation.
A matter that was brought to CHRO by an MDC employee. It's covered under our insurance policy. The policy has a $100,000 deductible. We've paid that through attorney's fees. The settlement that's proposed has been recommended by CHRO. It's been approved by our carrier. The the net settlement will be paid by our insurance coverage.
Discussion?
Move for a second.
What did it entail?
It entailed a hiring, the gentleman that brought the complaint to CHRO claimed that he was not hired for a certain position because of his race. We obviously disputed that. There was some evidence that he was at least one of 3 qualified candidates for the job. We chose a different candidate. It was brought to CHRO. There was a fact-finding that was done. CHRO made a recommendation. We went back to settle, made a recommendation on amount. We went back and forth. The insurance company has stepped in because they're paying the bill at this point, and they've agreed to settle the matter. We need authorization because we're the party to the action. So while we're making agreeing to the settlement, the payment's coming from the carrier.
And in the event that we don't move forward, the insurance company will not fund in the event that...
Yeah, they're not only you may lose your cost of defense, number one. Number two, you're going to risk, because we have what's called a hammer clause with these policies, that if they agree to a settlement, don't agree, you push it, any
Thank you.
exceeds the amount that they would have offered, we've got to pay.
Chris, you recommend
Yes, absolutely.
settlement. I make the motion to,
Motion's been made.
okay.
Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, opportunity for general public comments.
Good evening, my name is Dave Silverstone. Just real quick, we had our Consumer Advocates meeting on October 10th. Several of the commissioners were there. Thank you for attending. Somebody had asked for an audio link to it, and that's available on my page on the website, on the MDC website. That's available if anybody wants to listen to the discussion. It went on for about an hour and a half, so just letting you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment? Commissioners' questions and comments?
I was looking at the budget earlier, which we got in the mail today, so went out and took a look at it. I was approached and talked to several people from River Recapture, and that's why I wanted to bring it up a little bit and ask you to consider to look at the budget for it and maybe bring it back up to the level they had before. I know you're going to be talking to the OMB and the people over there about the money they owe us for the sewer discharges they haven't paid us for. So I'd just like you to consider to rebuild that back up to what they had before for their budget.
Further comments? Al?
Mr. Chairman, I understand that we have discussed this in the past, but I would hope that we would give serious consideration to the notion of having a consent calendar with this body. We spent a lot of time discussing and dealing with many issues in detail at the committee level. And often we rehash it again at the board level. And I think that it is getting to a point, time-wise, that our agendas are becoming really very complicated, quite long. And I would think that we would really consider having a consent.
A consent calendar would require everybody to agree on an item
Yep.
not being debated. So if you have, it goes on a consent calendar, you would put it on a consent calendar, and you, at the end of the meeting, if you have 4 items on a consent calendar, you would vote one vote. Now, a consent calendar is what it is, consent. If everybody doesn't agree with the item going on the consent calendar, it doesn't go on. So it's not a question of, but it'll still be before us.
If you had, for example, 4 committees, and they had made an agreement in their respective, in their groups, and those 4 items were on the consent calendar, do the commissioners get some sort of synopsis beforehand of what was agreed on? Or
Yes.
Yes.
So that's automatic, okay. Thank you.
But
Mr. Chairman, with respect to comments about riverfront recapture, I met with the executive director of riverfront recapture about a week and a half ago, and we did speak about the upcoming budget workshops and so forth. So just, could I ask, I mean, I asked them to do one thing, but could I ask the commissioners here to tell me if they are showing hands or something, if they were contacted by their town or just by riverfront recapture? Because
I went to my town.
by someone from your town, you know.
no, he went to the
I
meeting.
said, I went to my town, and my town would love to see it at 0.
Well, I'm not asking for,
Well, I'm just telling you, Bob.
I expect to hear from you, Ray, don't worry about it. But I just, you know, we're just trying to open up.
15% increase is
Yeah,
a huge
yeah.
increase to all the municipalities.
I understand, but the point was that, you know, that we're trying to engage to get this communication going, that the towns, there are towns that support it, and, you know, we wanted them to say if they did or not. So that's, so it doesn't sound like any of the towns got involved, it's just riverfront, so.
I think this is a good topic of discussion at the workshop.
When is that?
Workshop is,
It will be, I just wanted, you know,
Oh, that's, okay.
further comments?
I know it's late, so just I'll keep this quick. The release of the water into the Farmington River that we're required to do, I was able to talk to several very active fly fishermen, and they're saying that we're releasing too much water. They're getting knocked over, they can't fish like they used to fish. So I want you to just bring that up for Dawn.
And as I mentioned, the article that was done by the Army Corps.
Gotta send Ray out there.
I would agree that the natural state of the river is not what we're doing. We're actually releasing more water than the natural flow in 1913 before the dams were built.
Further discussion? All those in favor of adjournment without objection?
They got wet.
Aye.